On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, it's the April 4th update for the grounding of motor vessel Everforward off of Baltimore. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to this episode of What's Going On with Shipping. If you're new to the channel, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. So, quick update for motor vessel Everforward. Now, we know there was 2 attempts to get that vessel freed, one on March 29th, one on March 30th. Did videos on those specific attempts, and you can see them right above here if you'd like some updates from them. What I've found out since then is this: talk to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people are talking to me too, so I'm getting a lot of notes from a variety of people on this, both involved directly in the salvage, indirectly with the salvage, ashore, afloat, you name it. Everybody wants to talk about this. So a couple of things I found out. Number one, the attempt on March 29th was really not an attempt that they thought was going to be successful. They really wanted to get an idea of how stuck she was. And they found out she's stuck. They tried the March 30th attempt because of the change in weather. All of a sudden, you had that small craft advisory. You're going to have 2.5 extra feet of water in the bay. The wind was more conducive to it, so they tried it again. Again, no luck. So the vessel is stuck. And again, this is a vessel drawing 42 feet of water that's stuck in anywhere from 18 to 24 feet of water in material that is heavy clay. It's just nasty stuff. And that ship ran itself, impaled itself aground at 13 knots, and is a ship length and a half off the channel where she ran aground. So the plan by Evergreen and Don John Smith, the salver, is to continue dredging. They want to dredge the area, which is just mud spoil from the original dredging of the Craig Hill Channel, is they want to get down to below 42 feet, the draft levels of the ship, and then pull the ship off the embankment it's going to be on. Actually, if you dredge around this vessel is still going to be up on the mud. What they want to do is pull her off and get her back into the channel. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So the reports that are coming out so far, no update from Evergreen beyond their original note from March 31st that we saw, that basically the vessel remains safe and sustained no damage. There'll be additional dredging has commenced and will continue under the guidance of competent authorities. The next attempt to refloat will be scheduled based on the progress of these efforts and guidances. This is also the document where they declare general average, which we talked about in a previous video, but I'm going to come back to. The Coast Guard has been designated as the lead agency for information on this, although I will say, again, Coast Guard, you need to do a better job of being a lead agency. Haven't updated this Maritime Safety Information Bulletin since March 29th. And to me, that's a bit of a problem. There's obviously something has happened since then. According to this, if the attempt on March 30th failed, it did. This is their schedule. What they're talking about is Everforward. The third attempt to refloat Everforward will occur on or about April 4th or 6th, so today or through Wednesday. The effort will involve 2 anchored pulling barges and 5 tugs positioned around the vessel. The pulling barges will remain out of the channel but be prepositioned themselves as early as Friday, April 1st, although we haven't seen them prepositioned yet. The Captain of Port will cease all traffic through the area. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here is Everforward right now. We see the dredges still in operation. Oyster Bay working off the starboard bow. Again, Everforward is pointing basically south-southeast, basically 5 o'clock, with her stern up at about 11 o'clock. The Dale Piatt is working off the stern. And what they're going to do is dredge from where Everforward went out of the channel all the way back along the starboard side of the vessel and attempt to basically clear enough mud down to below 42 feet, probably go about 43, 44 feet, pull her off the shelf she's on without tipping her over. That's going to be the big issue right here, is not tipping her over. Get her stern into deeper water so that they can use the ship's engine to back her out and get her out of the channel. Now, we're talking about an attempt on March 4th or 6th. I'm not sure about that for a couple of reasons. First off, 2 of the tugs that were involved in this, the Atlantic Enterprise and Atlantic Salver, had left the scene. They were heading back up to New York. So they had been dispatched and relieved. However, they have turned around since then. Right now, latest on marine traffic has them in the Delaware Bay. Here you see Atlantic Salver, Atlantic Enterprise is right back here. They're both heading up the bay right now. They'll cut across on the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. For those of you who don't know, there's a canal that connects the Chesapeake and Delaware Bay. So they'll head across there and come back down to the Ever Given position. These are the two tugs that were on the starboard quarter. Pull about 70 metric tons of bollard pull apiece, and really essential to try to pull the vessel off. However, the big tug, the Warhorse 2, which was the big long tow off the stern, is no longer available. She departed a day ago, towing a vessel out of Norfolk down to Texas, heading down to Beaumont, Texas. So she's off the coast of Virginia right now. She is not going to get to Beaumont until April 16th. It's going to take her a while to get back, and then she's slated to have another tow. So this is her right now. This is her towing the former USNS, U.S. Naval ship Yano, one of 20 large medium-speed roll-on, roll-off ships built in the 1990s. She's actually a converted Maersk container ship, but she's been deemed surplus. She's over 40 years old. There's a big effort to get rid of old ships from the fleet. And Warhorse 2 had towed down Shughart. Now she's towing down Yano. And then she's slated to start towing down former Marine Corps prepositioning ships. So not sure Warhorse 2 is going to be available. Then you have this story, and this is Mike Schuller's story from G Captain. General average declared for Ever Forward after unsuccessful attempts to refloat the ship. So Mike wrote this, and it was in that Evergreen statement that they're declaring general average. And again, I did a video that talked specifically about this with general average. You can watch the video and go into details what it is. But basically what it does is it spreads the cost of the salvage across the cargo. Basically, if you're shipping cargo on the vessel, you bear some responsibilities should the ship have an accident. Well, I want to raise a red flag right now with this, because I have an issue with this right off the bat, that Evergreen is allowed to declare general average to hold cargo on the vessel until it's bonded or paid, because the NTSB and the Coast Guard have not said one word, not one peep, about what's the cause of this accident. This happened on March 13th, and I understand NTSB reports take a year to 2 years for them to be processed. However, they have the testimony from the pilot. They have the testimony from the entire crew on board. Everybody is still there. The pilot's not on board, but the crew is. They have the vessel data recorder. They have monitoring from automated information systems. They are on the ship looking at mechanical issues. Is this a mechanical issue? Is it a mechanical issue that the rudder didn't work? And if so, okay, was it negligence on their part? Was their maintenance not done? Was it the crew member didn't know to turn right or left, or didn't understand how to operate the helm? Was it pilot error? Was it master's error? Was it an act of God? Just nothing worked right at that moment. Whatever it is, we should hear something by now. The fact that the NTSB and Coast Guard hold this information and hold it until a year or two from now when they release it and nobody cares about it is a problem, especially for those beneficial cargo owners, those who own the cargo on board, who are now being forced to basically pay, to get their cargo off and foot the bill for the salvage, when it may be a specific responsibility of the ship owner, the ship manager, the pilot, the captain. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, because nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. Let me be clear. I know Maryland pilots. I know Virginia pilots. I know Chesapeake Bay pilots. None of them are talking, because they don't want to come out here in the least bit, and sit there and bear any responsibility. This is the issue with Ever Given. Ever Given was the Suez Canal pilots pointing at the ship and the crew pointing at Suez Canal pilots. Seeing the same thing play out here. But by now, we should be able to get a something from the Coast Guard or the NTSB about what was the cause. Because let's be clear about something too. If this was a speed issue, if the fact that the ship was traveling too fast, 13 knots, and then they should be mandating a change in the speed in the channel. That should be something that should be done immediately. If there is an issue with how the pilot interacted with the crew, then that needs to be enacted changes immediately. Is it the fact that the crew didn't understand the orders? Then that should be an issue that's done. And let me raise another issue that's really important here. Everybody, I've seen lots of things about, was this ship hacked? Was it everything? Understand, when a ship pilots out of Baltimore heading down, there is physically somebody on the wheel or the controllers for this ship. Most aircraft, when they land today, use automated systems. Pilots monitoring, watching the plane come down on a track. It's largely computerized today. On ships, it is hands. It is literally physical hands doing it with human beings doing it. Why we have not implemented more automation in the controls of vessels, I don't know. So the U.S. Navy developed a new type of vessel, what was called an expeditionary patrol, an expeditionary transport vessel, EPF. Very high-speed vessels. Well, these vessels have the capability to come alongside U.S. Navy oilers and do underway replenishment at 13 knots. Well, there was a problem in that the helmsmen on these new vessels could not quickly enough compensate for them. And so the EPF crews started using automated systems. They started putting the ship in autopilot because the autopilot reacts faster, can keep the ship on track better. It caused a huge stink, a huge uproar among, because that's the way it's done. But it works. It works great. You still have the helmsman there. You still have someone who can grab control if you need to. But you allow the automated system to operate it. On ships piloting in very narrow waters, we are still relying on human beings. The fact that this course could not be implemented in a course system that automatically turned the vessel at set times, factored in wind, current, the amount of time it takes the ship to steer is, I don't know why we're not doing this yet. Because we should be. Because that type of automation provides protection and double checks the human crew, especially as these vessels get larger. The other issue here is a story from Maritime Executive where the Golden Ray's owner and salvage company has just been sued by the county in Georgia where this salvage took place. The citizens of the county now are suing the salver company for this. This story just came out. They're suing Hyundai Glovis, who is the owner-operator of the vessel, as well as TNT Salvage, which removed the wreck. And they're doing this because of the amount of pollution that was done. They had been guaranteed that pollution would be minimal. And yet approximately 320,000 gallons of fuel mixed with water was pumped out on December 22nd, 2019. They noted, however, that 44,000 gallons of petroleum products, hazardous substances, and 4,200 cars remained. If you're unaware of the Golden Ray, I've got a video that talks about the NTSB report, and then go over to my buddy Captain Andy, the Menorcan Mullet, where he detailed the entire salvage. This ship rolled over, laid on its side in St. Simon Sound in Brunswick, Georgia. And the way they salvaged it wasn't roll it back up, float it out, and take it out, is they cut it into pieces, sliced it with anchor chain. And what they did was just dump huge amounts of pollutants into the water of St. Simon Sound. The environmental impact will be felt for decades, if not irreversible. And that's a concern that we should all have with Everforward should something go wrong with Everforward. She's been sitting on her bottom now since March 13th. Vessels are not designed to do that. And especially if a storm rolls in and she starts churning on that bottom a bit, you can start seeing ruptures in the hull, cracking. And again, one of the things they haven't done is taken fuel off this vessel yet. Now, the fuel is not alongside the outer skin of the vessel. However, there is fuel on board. And so these are all issues that need to be taken into account. So hope you enjoyed the update. Hope you enjoyed the channel. If you did, please subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos when they come out. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it across social media. And if you can, join our Patreon. That helps support the page. It helps support the channel. And most importantly, it gives me the time and effort I need to put videos like this together for you. So until our next video, this is Sal, signing off.